Redfall was a complete failure, there's no getting around that. It's a product that could only come from the type of Bethesda that released Fallout 76 and had their moronic review embargo rule. And the fact that Microsoft didn't take a look at this obvious disaster in the making and cancel it is one of the most irrational decisions they've made since their E3 2013 presentation. So why was this game allowed to release when it was looked at by so many people at two separate companies in such a sorry state? And better yet, why was it even greenlit in the first place? Well, once again, the reason Redfall exists is that the publisher wanted to make continuous income from live service games, something I've already touched on in my EA video, so they forced a single-player team to make a game they had no experience with and drained morale by choosing their next game in a genre that would disenchant the development team. Oh, don't worry, Naughty Dog, I'm certain factions will turn out great, just keep grinding away at it. Now, should you give the devs free rein to make whatever they want? No, that's how we get games like Saints Row 2022, but there needs to be an in-between point, then forcing out games like Anthem and letting media molecules waste a decade on dreams. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I want to discuss how the director of the game, Harvey Smith, assured the dubious developers during the final months arcane magic would strike and the game would be fixed. What a load of crap. Now, there's a very likely possibility that Smith was not only lying to the team, but himself, and that his career wasn't about to be tarnished by one of the worst reviewed first-party games in years. But for the sake of this essay, I'd like to believe he genuinely believed what he was spewing, and he thought his studio was infallible. Hubris is a dangerous thing for a creative director to have. That's why M. Night Shyamalan went from legend to laughingstock, and game studios are no different to this either. CD Projekt Red was hardcore gamers' favourite development studio for years, due to their expansive narratives, consumer-friendly pricing, the sheer amount of effort they put into the most meaningless side activities, and collection of westernized waifus. Everything they touched turned to gold. They were the perfect studio in the eyes of fans. This led the heads of the studio and the publishers to think that they could do no wrong, and then Cyberpunk was released and the industry turned on them just as quickly. BioWare is another studio that has used the term magic when developing their games, and they're a husk of their former selves. Now, it's worth mentioning that EA has forced them to make games they're not familiar with like Anthem, or stories they didn't want to continue like Mass Effect Andromeda. But the confidence that EA and studio heads had in their team that the game would turn out just fine due to the magic of their team is the real fantasy element here. So why do these studios initially succeed? If it's not magic, well, that's quite simple. It's talented and dedicated people working on a product they're experts in. Arcane is a team whose talents lie in single-player immersive sims. Their strength is leaving you alone in an imposing world, giving you superpowers, and letting you wreak havoc while taking multiple paths to achieve the same objective. It's not making a soulless microtransaction game-as-a-service multiplayer shooter. But this was an exciting experiment to see if a studio with a soul can make a good soulless game, and it can't. It's already dangerous when fans think the studio is untouchable and nothing they do could ever be wrong, but it's disastrous when the studio itself believes that. A development team can't be magic. Maybe an individual person like a film director, but a team of hundreds of people all working in tandem that only make successful games? That's impossible.